Welcome back to another episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kate.
And on today's episode, we have Katie joining us. The Katie that you've heard so much about on this podcast quite a few times has decided to join us and talk a little bit about herself. But first, do a little bit of life updates.
Well, I guess I'll begin. One of the things that happened to me in the last week or so is I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. So I got one of those fun CPAP machines that makes you look like Bane while you're sleeping or something. And it's been a week that I've been, it's really sexy and I can't wait to meet lots of guys this way. Glad I'm talking about this publicly. Maybe I should just put it right on my Tinder profile. But I'm not going to do that. It's something that they'll have to discover on their own. But
someone is in that. The Bane look.
The Bane look. I sound like Darth Vader and I look like Bane. Sign up today. But one of the things is I think it is giving me a bit more energy, although I keep waking up in the middle of the night having ripped it off my face. So then I get really disappointed in myself about that. So it's been a bit of a cycle. How about you, Isaiah? What's going on with you?
Well, I think I want to talk more about that sleep apnea thing maybe later. But me, not a whole lot. Just, going to the gym, doing my thing. It's been quite a quiet little bit of time right now. Which I like. We're getting into summer, so definitely some stuff on the horizons for summer. We did our pub the other week, which was pretty awesome. And we have that In Pursuit thing coming up, so I'm super excited for that. And we got a few other pubs coming up. We've got next one is July 16th at Wasted Day. So if you guys want to come out, it's $5 to get in. There'll be dogs there and beer, obviously.
There's always beer there.
Always beer there.
But the addition of dogs is a nice treat.
That's exactly it. But other than that, nothing really a whole lot going on right now. Weight-wise, I am still floating in the 300 to 303 range. So we're working on that.
Yeah, I hear that. So we've got Katie here with us, and you've heard about Katie, as Isaiah mentioned, because I talk about her, every other episode or so, because she's my gym buddy. And we started at one gym together in January, and then we transitioned to the next gym also in January. And so we've been at Afterburn. Hear that, Afterburn? We mentioned you again. Free memberships we're not opposed to that kind of sponsorship. But we've got Katie here. What brings you here today, Katie? This is an episode about living large. We want to speak a little bit about what brings you here today.
Yeah, so I listen to your podcast on the regular, and I love what you guys are doing. And your chemistry is phenomenal. I mean, I sit at my desk laughing at the things that you guys have to say. But I just feel like I also have something that I could bring to the table, too, for people who are cognizant of the fact that they are gaining weight, because that is very much the cycle that I am on. It has been, I'm going to say, 10-year battle of the scale just constantly creeping up. In the beginning, I didn't really notice it as much, but then at a certain point, I really did start noticing the effects that gaining weight has been having on my life. And I just wanted to talk about that.
That sounds awesome. So let's start. I mean, in the last 6 months or so, 6 or 7 months, I know that you did the same challenge that I did. And you did tell me about your success with that at the time.
So today I was actually thinking about when we did that challenge. And in my life, I've only ever made informed effort to lose weight one other time. I started running and kind of was watching what I was eating, but nothing serious. So then towards the end of last year, I had mentioned to you that I was going to look into getting into the gym. I think I only had a gym membership one other time in my life. And it went well, but sometimes it's hard to get motivated to get yourself there. And so when I mentioned it to you and you said, I think I'd like to do that too. Oh, I was so excited and so happy to hear that you were going to be my gym buddy.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Now, then we get to the night before the challenge starts, and my anxiety was through the roof. I could feel that my blood pressure had taken a complete spike. I was hearing the ringing in my ears. I could hear the blood pulsing through me, having very cyclical thoughts, the same thought repeating itself, which was, I'm having eggs for breakfast in the morning. I swear to God, I thought that 10,000 times. And I was like, how many times can you tell yourself that you're having eggs in the morning? Just shut up about it already. So, I was very anxious to do the challenge. But Caitlin and I did it, and we saw excellent results through doing it. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of saying that my end goal after our 6-week challenge was that I was going to go to Moncton and have an eating weekend to eat whatever I wanted and not worry about it. Well, that weekend has turned into 5 months.
Yeah.
And so I have pretty much gained back all the weight that I lost during the challenge.
Well, not in that one weekend.
No, not
that would
in
be the point of eating weekend.
My weekend is pretty steady, to say the least. It doesn't just like boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that before in a few episodes where, you know, you can enjoy yourself and you can have a nice eating weekend, but
Yes.
you have to go back to understanding what you're eating and, you know, make sure you're supplementing what you're doing with exercise and all that stuff. And we're all of us are guilty of that, falling behind and being, I did what I wanted to do, and now I'm relaxing again and falling back into old habits.
One of the things that I have consciously worked on in this bout, because unlike you, I have done intentional weight loss regimes. That's an interesting word choice.
That's a good word choice.
Many times in my life. And the one thing that I wanted to change this time, and it hasn't always been perfect, is to not use food as a reward for me. And I'm not saying that works for everybody. Some people like Cheat Friday works. I'm trying not to use the word cheat. I'm trying to use, general lifestyle terms. This is very much a mind game and very much trying to transition how I think about it and my own relationship with food. Have I always been successful? No. Where I fall down often is the habit game, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to fall into this old trap today, or I am sad, I'm going to order pizza, or, those kinds of things. But I feel like I've been successful in the not using food as a reward. Like, I did great. I lost 3 pounds, so I'm going to have an ice cream cone. It's more like, I want an ice cream cone. It is not evil to have an ice cream cone, as long as I also have vegetables and, go to the gym and do these things. But those are not connected events for myself. And I don't know if that's true for everyone. And it's I'm 40 and I've did my first weight loss plan when I was 13. So, you can do the math on how many years that is, because I don't want to, and I can't.
Yeah, I did not have a good end game in mind for, the 6 weeks challenge is going to come. What am I going to do after 6 week? You do have to take a bit of a break for a maintenance phase.
100%.
I had actually noticed that during because we could see the past challenges when we went into Port City, and there was definitely a break that you have to take, because you have to be just maintaining your calories, because your body needs to adjust to your calorie deficit, but then you need to go back somewhere because out of your diet.
Right.
So I did not have an end game for what is my maintenance phase going to look like, and so I ultimately set myself up to fail.
But you aren't failing though, Katie, and here's why. You still go to the gym quite regularly, and that's a big part. And I know that I think 78% of weight loss is related to food intake, but maintenance is a lot of exercise and things like that. And like, you're also gaining muscle, and I'm seeing you do things at the gym that you absolutely couldn't have done 6 months ago. And those are wins. And I think you should acknowledge those for what they are too. And for me too, this is as much a turn the mirror on me.
I've seen you do things that I'm like, you were not doing that the first week.
No, absolutely not. So like that's a successful thing. We've committed to a pretty regular, albeit not perfect, but pretty regular gym attendance in the last 7 months.
So let me ask you this: before this, when you were younger, did you struggle with any weight, like not having enough weight or too much weight when you were younger?
No, I was a very normal weight. And this is part of the unfortunate thing. So I ate whatever I want, whenever I wanted. Pop was a regular part of my life. My aunt once made a joke that she thought pop was probably in my bottle, like as a baby, like just, oh my gosh. And I can remember this one time when I was in Pathfinders, part of our thing was that we had to go through and give like what we had eaten that day. And I mean, a very normal weight, but I was like embarrassed to tell what I had eaten that day because it was like juice, pop, chips. They were all part of my regular everyday diet. So I did know that once I hit 30, things were going to change because I mean, genetics, right?
Yeah.
And you lose your metabolism. It's not working as fast as it once did. And you're, just like, yeah, I'll deal with it when I get there. I'll deal with it when I get there. And, I never did.
And I think that's a very common thing. Like I talked about where I was never like skinny, but I definitely was a lot more in shape when I was in high school. And I definitely ate whatever junk I felt like eating. But I was also doing sports and all that other stuff. And I think for most people, that is around the 25 to 30 range where your metabolism slows down and you're like still a mindset of I can eat and do whatever I want. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just gained 100 pounds. And
yeah. And I actually have a somewhat funny anecdote about that from when we were in high school. So I do remember you, and I can attest to the fact that you, like me, we were normal weights. And but I don't know if you remember this, and you probably don't if you didn't have the same outcome that I did, which was I got a note home because we had done a follow-up study to a study that was done in the 70s about blood pressures.
Don't remember that.
No, I would not remember having my blood pressure taken at all had I not gotten the letter home to my parents saying that I should probably go to my doctor because I was at risk for having hypertension. So occasionally I would go check in just to see, and I never really got a reading that was worrisome. It was always like normal high. Sometimes it would be high, and then sometimes it would be normal. It was just kind of all over the place. So I never actually got diagnosed with hypertension. But then, since my weight gain, someone has asked me, because they know about this, that I'm at risk for hypertension, and it does run in my family as well. Have you gotten your blood pressure taken lately? No. That's not something I'm ready to face up to, that my weight gain could possibly have an effect on my health.
Well,
it's not okay.
It's not, but it's better to know than not know. Trust me, because they call hypertension the silent killer.
Yes.
It's particularly in women because you're very much at risk of many diseases. Not to scare you, but I have a cuff at home.
We also have one here.
You can do it right now.
We can do
Live on
it
the
right
pod.
now.
Because Kate and Isaiah are the medical professionals.
Yes, as we discussed last week, we are the medical professionals for sure.
We don't believe that if you don't see our faces. If you're not watching this on a video, we are being very sarcastic right now. If you noticed earlier, I couldn't do the math of 40 minus 13. So I'm not prescribing anybody any medication.
Not only that, but I'm sure my blood pressure is elevated right now because I am a little nervous.
Oh, why wouldn't you be, Ezra? Like, no, get your blood pressure checked. No pressure.
And with the local celebrities that we are,
But yeah, no, I resisted the blood pressure thing for a long time. It's funny that you mentioned that. I can't remember if I've told you this or not in before, or if I've said this on the pod, but I remember the first time I hit the 400-pound mark, and I've struggled with my blood pressure since I was about 23. And there is something to be said, and as I've mentioned in the past few episodes, some things are going to happen regardless of your weight. It could be your age. It may not be related to your weight, Katie. It may very well just be related to you have a predisposition for
Genetics,
it.
yeah.
Genetics. And so blaming your weight, don't beat yourself up on that. This is also, take a mirror and look at yourself, Caitlin, as you say these words, because they're the things that I beat myself up for as well. And so Fran is just popping up from underneath.
hello,
There's
Fran.
a cat
There's a
scared
cat
to death in here. Sorry, that could be edited out, right?
we're gonna keep it in. There's a cat here, and he is running around. He's like, "Oh no!"
And he is definitely terrified.
He'll be fine.
So yeah, so the high blood pressure thing, when I first hit over 400 pounds, went to the doctor and my blood pressure was high and she put me on another medication. She's like, I'm going to have to put you on medication because I'd been off of it for a long time. I said, okay. And then I went back and I had lost like 30 or 40 pounds and I was feeling really good and I was working out all the time. This was in iteration 1 of the post 400 challenge, the pre-pandemic one. And this is a doctor who had been my doctor since I was 11 years old. And knows my family history, and my dad also suffers with high blood pressure and has since he was 23. And so I went back and I was feeling really good and my blood pressure was higher. And she said, I'm going to have to put you on another medication. And I started to cry. I said, but doctor, I'm doing everything right. And she said, and keep doing what you're doing because it's important for your overall health. But she said, sometimes you just have to blame dad.
I mean, it's true because obviously, like I'm telling you that I was a normal weight when I had this taken. But I will say I probably was eating a lot of sodium too and continue to eat a lot of sodium, which is definitely a contributing factor to high blood pressure.
And sometimes, yeah, and all of those things are worth noting, but sometimes there's just genetics at play and there's no harm in being on a medication for it.
Yeah.
And it's better than the alternative.
Exactly. You know, we want to make sure we live as long as we possibly can. I mean, most
But
of us
why?
want
I'm just joking.
to. Do I have to put the number back down here?
No.
So I have a question for you guys, and I'll answer it for my own scenario. Well, like, when have been different times in your life when you've known that you're gaining weight?
Oh, that's a good question. There's not been a time where I've like known until I hit a weight and I go, oh, I am definitely gained weight and bigger than I am. It's not really a time of I see it creeping up, more of a not, and it might be just trying to be ignorant about it. But like when I was in my first year of university was a big year for me for weight gain, and I noticed it at like the end of the first year. Everyone gets that freshman 15 as they call it. I gained a lot of weight because I was eating at the cafeteria all the time and drinking all the time, way more than I would like to admit, to be honest. But that was the first time I ever really noticed that I was gaining weight. And again, it was more of it wasn't a creeping number, more of oh my goodness, I definitely gained a lot of weight. What about you, Kaylin?
Because it's been a constant battle. I try not to weigh myself. I don't weigh myself at home. Right now, I weigh myself every week or two, sometimes month at the gym, just so I have a data point, as I've talked to you about in the past. But I'm trying really hard to not have an emotional connection to that number. And I think Katie can attest to me working through some of that. But what I can feel when I creep up over a certain point, there's a couple of things, because I feel it when I lose it. And it's such a silly thing, but where my elbows hit my waist.
Yes.
Sometimes, like right now, I'm feeling okay, and I can feel them almost go in like they're supposed to. And sometimes I feel like I'm walking like an ape. and I don't know if that would be, and maybe it is noticeable to other people. I don't know, but I feel it myself that this part of my body seems to be where I gain and lose weight first. Mm-hmm. So that, and I have pretty short, I've talked about being T-Rex shaped, again, sitting in a lower chair than everyone else, so I look normal. But my arms are pretty short. So the other thing, and this is a very embarrassing thing that I don't think I've ever acknowledged, certainly not on the podcast, but I don't even think to another human, is in terms of like taking care of myself in the washroom area. It gets very challenging, and that's a point where I've definitely shed many tears, and thankfully have a removable shower head and things like that. And that's like when that becomes a play, that becomes something at play. It really takes a toll physically, for sure. Like that's obviously taking a physical toll, but that's a big warning sign. Yeah. And I hesitate to acknowledge it now, but so that's when I feel the weight go up, is those are pretty key factors. I mean, clothes are one thing. They get tighter. There's pants that I can't wear and things like that, like the normal things, but those are ones that are like, warning, do something now. And so that's what I was feeling like the end of last year, which prompted this journey. What about you, Katie?
So I talked about the first time I noticed my weight spike, which was college. I had to go out and buy dress clothes for, applying for jobs when I was going to get my job. I can remember trying the dress pants on. I was just like, these do not look good. The pleats that are supposed to be there are completely flat now. The really bad underwear lines, like muffin top, it was all there. And that was the first time. I was 174 at that point, and I was like, I have to do something. So I started running, started eating healthier, and I did lose the weight. I believe I got down to 150. I have a picture of myself from around that time, and when I look at it, I'm like, I looked good. I don't know if I acknowledged it at the time, but I did look good. And then, so, I don't know when my weight started creeping up again. Probably in my mid to late 20s, it started creeping up again. I started dating. What do you do when you date? You go out to eat. Eat.
That's not right.
No. The common date is let's go out to dinner. Yeah. Let's go out to lunch. Let's go out to breakfast. All the food groups are there covered. Then I started living uptown. What do you do when you live uptown? Eat out. Do you want to cook tonight? No, let's go out.
Let's go to Pig Tide.
Yeah, Pig Tide, exactly. Our kitchen away from kitchen. So then I got a group of friends. And what's our activity when we get together?
Trivia.
No, eat, because at trivia we're eating. When we get together, we're always like, oh my gosh, we have so much food that we can't even eat all this food. There's just always an occasion to eat. Yep. Do you think I'm bringing a salad to these occasions? Because I'm not. Yeah, so anyway, the weight starts creeping up with all that, and of course I work a desk job, so I'm not
Yeah.
getting much physical activity. I only just joined the gym within this last year, so a very, not active lifestyle. But I would say it was probably when I was in the high 180s that I first started noticing this time around that this was getting to be a problem.
Yeah.
Clothes weren't fitting anymore. So then let's add another 10 pounds onto that. Oh, I'm starting to get winded now doing basic activities. That's not cool. Add another 10 pounds onto that. Geez, I used to have a really defined jawline, and now my face is taking on a round shape. And what is this under there? A second chin, maybe? And then I happened to see a photo of myself when I was in this really fit phase I was talking about, and I was like, holy crap, I had a very defined collarbone, which does not exist anymore.
Yeah, and I think pictures are a big one because, like, when you live with yourself, obviously you have to live with yourself, that you don't necessarily see it in yourself because you're always seeing yourself.
100%.
Usually your significant other is the same way, right? Your significant other always sees you. And then it's not until you either see a picture of yourself or you meet someone that you haven't seen in a very long time, like, oh, hey, how's it going? And you're like, oh.
Yes.
No.
Yes, exactly. And then there's I completely agree with you. When you're yourself in the mirror every day, you do not notice. But then there's other times where, like, I'll, like, turn my head and I'm like, what is that? I don't even recognize that anymore. Lumps where there didn't used to be lumps.
It's a funny thing because when you do look at yourself in the mirror, I think you choose to look at the best angle of yourself.
True.
Like, you're not looking at yourself going, whoa, I look like crap. You're looking, oh, look, I'm looking pretty svelte. Okay, that's a good angle, because you don't turn around and look at the bad angle.
Exactly. So when I say, like, about catching, like, a second chin, I'm just like, oh, this is how I'm walking around now.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask you, so you've been going to the gym relatively regularly now. Besides the weight side of things, do you feel better? Do you feel it healthier?
So I am not winded like I was, which, I mean, that's a very big concern, and you need to take care of that. You should be able to walk up a flight of stairs, in my opinion, which was getting to the point where I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs anymore. So yes, physically I am feeling better, but there's something to be said for a healthy diet of how that can make your insides feel.
Yep.
When Caitlin and I were doing the diet, we both would, like, catch glimpses of each other and be like, "What a glow! Like, you have a healthy glow," and we both had it at various times in the challenge. And I don't have that anymore. I'm not radiating anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's definitely something to be said for eating healthy and your intake, because it definitely comes out in, like, your skin, your hair, and other stuff.
For sure.
100%.
I think this is an episode. I think so. So, as we always do at the end, first I'll start with you, Katie. Do you have anywhere on the social medias that people can follow you?
Oh, don't find me, I'll find you. No, I'm Katie Green on Facebook.
All right. And Caitlin, where can people find you?
People can find me at Fat Caitlin on TikTok, at the Caitlin Dean on Twitter, Caitlin Dean on Facebook, and at Kate D or Kated on Instagram.
Perfect. And you can find me at Maritime Brews everywhere on social media. And you can follow us on Facebook at Kate and Isaiah Living Large. It'll pop up above here somewhere like I normally do on YouTube. And we do thank you for listening. We thank you for joining us, Katie.
It's been a real pleasure,
It's been a
Katie. Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
Thank you guys for having me. Like I said, I love listening to you guys. You're awesome.
And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, like, share, and follow.
Oh, like, share, follow. Bye, guys.